When that train derailed in East Palestine, it wasn't because Trump deregulated the brakes. These aren't news stories. They're storylines pumped into your bubble. 4, always be aware that once the news became a profit division of media companies, they stopped being in the news business and are now in the audience stroking business. The goal is no longer to inform opinions, it's to reinforce them. 3, if your news outlet consistently reduces everything that happens in the world to who the president of America is, get rid of it. It's just thoughtless, reflexive team politics.
Bill Maher is openly clashing with the mainstream media, accusing it of turning every story into a major crisis. He argues that outlets like CNN and MSNBC often treat ordinary events as constant breaking news just to capture attention. Maher, who is known for speaking his mind, recently criticized these networks for what he sees as clear bias, especially when covering Donald Trump and the Republican Party. His comments were direct and unfiltered, making the discussion even more intense.
News Nation reported this year that the U.S. was on track for nearly a 300% increase in measles cases. 300%? Wow, that sounds like it could be millions. It was 35, because they just want to manipulate you into clicking. Look, I have 10 fingers. You want to see me suddenly have 80% less? Okay. 5, never trust the initial reports. The media cares way more about being first than being right. They love a scoop, but it's a scoop of shit because it always turns out to be.
If you look closely at mainstream media coverage over the past year, it becomes easier to understand the point Maher is making. Many stories connected to Donald Trump or the Republican Party appear to be amplified and dramatized very quickly, sometimes before all the details are confirmed. Once a negative headline appears, it spreads rapidly across television and social media. Important context can get lost as the race to break the story becomes more important than accuracy. Maher argues that this constant push for sensational narratives can weaken the credibility of the media and increase public distrust.
You have to care about the truth. The media doesn't care about it because they know you don't care, that you just want to hear your side. So at some point, you need to take a step back, look around, and be really honest. Are you actually as your news feed tells you are? Are you miserable? Some people are, and we should help them. Are you destitute? Some people are. We should help them. But most people who take the subway get to work alive. Most don't fall out of a plane with a missing door.
Maher's argument highlights a deeper issue in how modern media operates. News cycles now move extremely fast, and stories are often published before they are fully developed. This does not always happen because journalists lack information, but because audiences have become used to fast and emotionally charged reporting. Many viewers prefer coverage that confirms what they already believe about politics, Trump, and the Republican Party. This creates a cycle where audiences expect a certain narrative, and networks continue to deliver it. Over time, nuance disappears and balanced reporting becomes harder to find.
Could absolutely blow up the world on day 1 of term 2. He's a dangerous, erratic, insane, awful person, and I'd love to help him get not elected. But he didn't actually start World War III last time, or nuke a hurricane, or trade Puerto Rico for Greenland. Sure, the sequel is usually worse, but until he does, I'm going to live my life, and not the one the media wants me to live, hating half the country and my pants 24/7. Is the sky really falling? I don't know. Maybe. And maybe it's just the door from...
Many people on the political left are genuinely worried about the possibility of Trump returning to power. For some, these concerns even extend to global stability, with claims that his leadership could increase the risk of major international conflicts. However, critics like Maher argue that this view ignores an important part of Trump's approach to politics, his focus on negotiation and deal-making. Rather than following strict ideology, Trump has often approached international relations like a business negotiation, using pressure and leverage to reach agreements. Maher believes that fear-driven narratives can sometimes move too far away from reality.
Time for the media to admit that they blew the whole thing way out of proportion, because as always with media these days, they don't cover what's most important, just what's most fun to watch. There are 15.2 million college students in the U.S., and 2,300 have been arrested. That's 1/67th of 1%. and half of the ones in New York weren't even students. But we were given the false impression that these protesters are the voice of their generation, having found a cause for which they were willing to go to the tents and to the barricades. Oh, please, these kids are more violent when their team wins a championship.
Maher also pointed to a recent incident that he believes shows how quickly small events can be turned into major national stories. A small group of students organized a protest on a college campus, something that happens regularly at universities. However, some media outlets quickly framed the event as if it represented a massive student uprising across the country. Headlines suggested that campuses everywhere were erupting in protests, when in reality it involved only a limited number of participants. Maher believes exaggerating incidents like this can distort public perception and create unnecessary panic among viewers.
The vast majority just want to do what they went to college for in the first place, to experiment with being a lesbian. But when these kids chant, the whole world is watching, they're right. But only because you assholes with the cameras won't show anything else. Isn't there a bear in a swimming pool somewhere you should be covering?
Maher argues that this happens partly because of the intense competition within today's media environment. Calm and balanced reporting rarely attracts the same attention as dramatic and emotional stories. Networks know that viewers are more likely to stay engaged when a story creates anger, fear, or frustration. As a result, outrage often becomes a powerful tool for increasing ratings. In this environment, balanced discussions and ordinary developments are sometimes pushed aside in favor of louder and more dramatic narratives.
I thought as a public service, since it's so hard to find reliable news these days, tonight I would provide a few rules of thumb for trying to follow the news in our modern age. Starting with, if the headlines in your preferred news outlet routinely feature words like shreds, destroys, pummels, bashes, your outlet is a partisan piece of shit. Either that or you're reading a Batman comic. Ditto with obliterates, roasts, annihilates, and owns. You're supposed to be a source for information, not Nikki Glaser at the Tom Brady roast.
Maher also explained that strong headlines are not always a problem. If a discussion genuinely exposes weaknesses in a policy or argument, then a bold headline can accurately reflect what happened. The problem begins when the headline promises something dramatic that the story itself does not deliver. Maher believes that the tone of a headline should always match the facts of the story. When headlines exaggerate or oversell events just to attract clicks, readers start to lose trust in the outlet.
Any news source that quotes the internet or writes Twitter says or a bunch of hacks too lazy to do real journalism. You can pretend you wrote a piece on the zeitgeist, but what you really did was look on your phone and quote the 3 angriest people with the most time on their hands.
Maher also criticized the growing habit of using social media reactions as if they represent the views of the entire country. Instead of focusing on traditional reporting methods like investigating sources and verifying facts, some outlets rely heavily on online comments or viral posts. A few tweets can quickly be presented as if they reflect a nationwide opinion. Critics argue that this approach replaces real investigation with convenient confirmation. In the end, coverage can start to feel less like journalism and more like an echo chamber repeating the same ideas to its audience.
The news outlet consistently reduces everything that happens in the world to who the president of America is. Get rid of it. It's just thoughtless, reflexive team politics. Trust me, no one lighting a tire fire in Haiti is thinking, I wouldn't have done this under Trump, but given the weakness of the Biden administration, why not?
That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed the discussion, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more content like this.